Here's a quick overview of what you're going to be asked to do for your figurative language analysis benchmark, which we're taking next week. So you want to be thinking about both what is the device and how is it used. So step one is to read the passage and identify figurative language. On the handout that you got in class, you can read through that passage. You're looking for language that is rich and generates multiple interpretations. My recommendation would be to look for comparison-based devices like similes, metaphors, and personification because they're the easiest to analyze. As you read and annotate the passage on the sample, think about what figurative language do you notice? What's the context and what's the gist of the passage that you found? Go ahead and read that now. When you're done reading, write down the context or the gist of your passage. For this passage, I got that it was from chapter 6, and the passage is describing the brutality and violence of an attack and counterattack in a World War I battle, just to orient yourself to what is happening in the passage. Then you want to focus in on what figurative language you see in the passage. Here I've highlighted similes, metaphors, and personification, the comparison stuff, in yellow. I've also highlighted imagery that pops out at me in red. So here I found a couple metaphors and almost a personification, more an animalification, some sound imagery. In the second half of the passage, some more visual imagery, and then several metaphors and similes. Your job is, of all the figurative language that you found, to focus in on one that really stands out to you. I chose to focus in on this. The whole slaughter whirls like a circus around me. And that was because I noticed it compares the battle, which is the slaughter, to a circus. It doesn't use like or as, so it's a metaphor. So again, a comparison-based figurative language. I have lots of schema about circuses, and I also have several ideas about similarities between the circus and the battle. So this is a great device for me to analyze. Again, you might notice lots of things. You just need to choose one that you can identify and explain in detail. Once you've chosen your piece of figurative language, you want to start to brainstorm connections and visualize. So in the quote that I chose, the battle is being compared to a circus. Okay, so I know what World War I battles look like, and it's being compared to a circus, which makes me picture like clowns and rings and animals and ringmasters, so lots of activity happening. And the feeling that I get when I think about a circus is this kind of light-filled, colorful, swirling, disorienting feeling. So that's kind of what's in my schema about a circus. Once I've gotten my visualization going, I can start to do my Venn diagram. So I know that a battle is war and fighting and violence, killing in the trenches. A circus I associate with entertainment and fun. It's exciting, there's a tent, it's really colorful. But what they have in common is what matters. So they're both loud, they're both kind of chaotic, they're both pretty overwhelming and overstimulating if you're there. They can both be sometimes scary or intense, and you think about people's clowns or like the weird people who are at the circus, the tattooed man, things like that. And really that it's full of weird or freaky things that are not part of your normal everyday experience. So that's some of the commonalities I see between the two. Once you've come up with the commonalities, you can choose one or two to write your pieces of analysis. So for example, I thought that the battle and the circus were both loud and chaotic, as well as other things. So I can use that to write my first piece of analysis, which is, this illustrates the chaos and noise of the battle, which is like the strident music and overblown colors of an elaborate circus. So that was two similarities that I highlighted with that piece of analysis. Remember that to pass your benchmark, you need two different pieces of analysis, hopefully that build on each other. So I'm going to move to the other ideas that I came up with and try to explain that in my second piece of analysis, which is this. In addition, Remark uses this line to convey the disorienting, grotesque nature of the battle. At a circus, the audience is exposed to all sorts of acts that go beyond the normal comfort zone, like scary lions or contortionists or clowns that are half funny and half scary. In a similar way, the war is full of bizarre, horrifying scenes that command the soldiers' attention, even as they wish they could look away. So now I've written two pieces of analysis to highlight two different similarities that I saw between a battle and a circus. Remember that your grade will be based on both your ability in the top row to select an appropriate quote and accurately identify the device. So here I said that it was a metaphor, right? And I've chosen a quote with rich figurative language. And then I need to give two nuanced pieces of analysis that build on each other. So to exceed, I need two different ideas that are different and build on each other. To meet, I need two pieces of analysis, but they might be kind of similar or slightly repetitive. And if you can't get to two pieces of analysis, you won't pass this benchmark and you'll need to retake it. So make sure that you focus in on a quote that you really have a lot to say about.